Hello, this is yours truly, Charles Prosper, your consistency success coach. And what if I told you that in this video, I will explain to you why consistency is always a daily, constant choice, and it is something that doesn't come natural to human nature. And I will show you how to overcome this natural tendency of not being consistent. So, here we go. Consistency is always a conscious choice. The effect of consistency over time can never be underestimated. Consistency is not automatic or natural for most human beings. In fact, consistency is one of the most unnatural acts of all human behavior. Consistency requires effort. Choosing requires effort. And what's more, consistency requires choosing daily, that is, today and again tomorrow, the next day, the next, and the next. You choose today, and you must choose the same again tomorrow. It is important to keep in mind that consistency is the repetition of simple, ordinary things which produce extraordinary results. Like the saying goes, it's the little things that count. Lusamile, my 16-year-old daughter, was on summer vacation. We were having breakfast. She admitted to me that she had watched way too much television the day before, maybe about 4 hours straight. Without me having to admonish her, and on her own accord, she told me that this would not happen again. I'm sorry, Dad. I really know better. I was consistently watching way too much TV yesterday. I said, you were not watching consistently. You were watching excessively. There is a difference. Since she knew a philosophical discussion was about to start, her quick reply was, well, is it possible for someone to do something consistently excessive? Yes, I replied, but consistent excessiveness is the definition of self-destruction. When we look at the most impressive results of consistent action over time, we will usually observe the consistent actions were usually very simple, basic, and unimpressive. If we examine the creation of any animal or plant, we will always start to see that within each of these living structures there are small elements of which they are composed, which had to consistently grow over time. All plants and animals started out as small and simple cells, which gradually yet consistently reproduced itself over time until its final goal was reached. Greater commitment leads to greater consistency. The success of consistency is predicated on commitment. And commitment is triggered by a conscious realization of the value or importance of the goal that is sought. There are no shortcuts to consistency. Consistency is always the long, winding road. This reminds me of a supervisor at a job where I worked as a social worker who told me that he wanted to learn to speak Spanish. Knowing that I am fluent in Spanish and that I taught Spanish in high schools here in Los Angeles for many years, he asked my advice on the best program that he should purchase in order to learn. My answer to this question is always, it doesn't really matter what language system that you choose to learn Spanish. If it has been proven to work, all of them are good. It is really about your commitment and consistency to study and practice. He says, I heard that Rosetta Stone program for learning Spanish was very good. I answered, yes, Rosetta Stone is very good, and it is also the priciest. It can be as high as $500. He says, I don't mind paying the price. I would really like to learn. I don't really need to be fluent. Just holding a conversation with you enough. I observed was a commitment to pay a high price as a tacit trade-off for lack of strong commitment to mastery. What I have observed is that in many cases where personal achievement of some sort of objective is desired, a person will spend a whole lot of money for a program, system, or package with the unconscious premise that the more money spent will be equivalent to a higher likelihood of success when there is little or no serious commitment. To the contrary, it has been my observation and experience that the more the person spends on a package or program, the less likely he or she will be consistent. You see this all of the time. A late night couch potato decides it is time to lose a few extra pounds. An infomercial appears offering a new 21st century piece of exercise equipment promising to melt off fat off of your thighs and waistline for only 6 easy payments of $199 or something like that. That person puts down his big bag of chips, grabs his credit card, calls the 800 number, and places the order. Well, we know how the story usually goes. The miracle equipment arrives, and fast forward 5 months, and the miracle equipment is gathering dust in the garage. I have seen committed and consistent people lose weight and develop very beautiful bodies with little or no fancy equipment. I have seen people achieve their fitness goals with clean and healthy eating combined with a simple but consistent regime of push-ups, chin-ups, leg lunges, sit-ups, leg raises, and 30 minutes of jogging 5 times a week upon awakening. Oh, and you may be wondering, what happened with that supervisor who wanted to learn Spanish? Well, he did order the most expensive version of the Rosetta Stone program, and he did begin and practice with it for about 2 weeks. 9 months later, I asked, how's it going with your Spanish program? Well, I need to get back with it again. Once I get a little more time, I will begin again. More time is an illusion and does not come by default. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. We make time for that which we deem important. Consistency requires sacrifice. Sacrifice that is renewed on a daily basis. The power of consistency is predicated on harnessing and accessing the power within each individual to succeed, no matter what. Consistency is just a tool, like a saw is a tool. A saw does not work until you work it, and consistency does not work until you work it consistently. Remembering your goal fuels consistency. Many years ago, I was in Gold's Gym of Venice Beach, California, and I was privy to have the opportunity to have a conversation with former Mr. America and well-known bodybuilder Jim Morris, at that time he was 79, on the subject of motivation. I remember that I said, I plan to always stay motivated, and I will never forget his answer. Goals create motivation. To this, I would agree. And I would add, important goals will create greater motivation. The more important the goal, the greater the motivation. Then, I say, if you can keep your goal in the forefront of your consciousness, continued motivation with the persistence to back it up is virtually guaranteed. Remember, the why of a new and challenging goal is particularly important in the beginning stages. When you are in the process of disciplining yourself and making it into a habit. Some goals have a built-in memory system and an automatic pilot set up shortly after starting. The fear of loss or the fear of poverty can motivate consistently in the beginning. Fear, in my opinion, is not the best source of motivation in the long run, but it initially can wake you up from upcoming or impending disaster. Planning and saving for retirement is not often one of those things that the most young people worry about. The few and the wise young people who start retirement planning and savings early can prepare themselves for a bright and prosperous future in their later years. But what makes something like saving for retirement difficult for most people is that, one, they don't see it as important yet. And two, if they do see it as important and begin at, say, 30 or 40 years old, the biggest problem is to remain consistent for the next 25 or 35 years. What makes retirement planning and saving work is consistency. And as I hope it is understood at this point, consistency cannot be taken for granted. Consistency does not happen by default. It takes a concerted, determined, and planned daily effort to achieve consistency and to maintain it. Okay, I hope you got the message for today and that you are well on your path of consciously choosing every day to remain consistent. And before we go, I would like to invite you to join my community at the Prosper Consistency Success membership site, where you will have access to live coaching calls to help you stay focused and consistent with your goal, as well as have accountability partners who are also members as yourself to be assigned to you to help you stay focused and stay consistent until you reach your goal. So I would like you to go right now, I invite you to go right now to www.consistencysuccesscoach.com, and you will be glad that you did. So until the next time, stay consistent and be successful.